Here's my rope bag. I love my rope. In climbing, we use dynamic ropes. If you remember from freshman year, dynamic means moving. So these ropes are actually going to move a little bit. A static rope would be one that stays still. Think of a jump rope. It's probably static. There's not going to be a pull or stretch to it, while climbing ropes are going to have some stretch into them. Now, what causes the stretch is inside this rope, there are lots of little ropes, and they're all twisted up. As the fall happens in climbing, those ropes unravel or untwist, causing a little stretch in the rope, so that it kind of gives you a little bounce with it. That way, you're not just getting jolted around. Climbing did start with just ropes used from like the telephone line companies and things like that, and those were more static ropes. Not as safe either. These are dynamic ropes. We're going to talk about tying a figure 8 knot today. So a figure 8 knot, I'm going to take about an arm's length of rope, and now where I've created that arm's length, that's where I want my knot. Big thing we have in school, people will do this and they'll say, okay, and they'll put their knot here. Get an arm's length of rope. Where that arm length ends, that is where you want your knot. So the simplest way to show this is it just goes over, under, and through the top. And I've created my figure 8. Okay, so again, with my rope, I'm going to get an arm's length of rope, and that's where my knot is going to go. The simplest way is going over, under the rope, and then back through the top. Once I pull it flat, I have that figure 8 knot. Again, it may twist up on you as you go through that. Make sure we flatten it out and get that good looking figure 8 knot. Okay, I'm going to teach you a couple different ways to tie the figure 8 knot. A couple fun ways we have for kids. So we have our arm's length. We have our arm's length of rope there again. So that's where I want my knot. And the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to make a snowman. So this is my snowman head. When you make a snowman, you have to give him a scarf. So I'm going to give him a scarf in front, and then you have to finish with a nose in the front. When you pull that out, we are going to have a figure 8 knot. If it twists on you, which it may, flatten it out to try to get that knot. The snowman method, I'm going to make my snowman head right there. I'm going to wrap the scarf in front of his neck, and then I'm going to give him a carrot in the face or in the nose. And there's my figure 8. Another way, the exact same motion, but some different terminology. If you're somebody that wants to take on the zombies or the aliens, okay? This is an alien coming at you. You have to choke the alien with the rope, and then you have to stab him in the eye. Flatten out. Again, if I twist up like that and look like a pretzel, flatten out the rope to get that figure 8. There is my figure 8 knot. In my alien method, there's my alien head. He's coming at you. You have to choke in front. You can't choke somebody in the back of the neck. You have to choke the alien in front, and he's still coming at you, so you have to stab him in the eye. Flatten that out, and you have yourself your figure 8 knot. All right, now the way to tie the figure 8 in the cool way. I learned this my first year teaching, and it's about hanging the rope. So this is what the Patriot Posse is going to do, right? This is the cool way. Again, that's where I want my knot. I'm going to dangle the rope on my side. Now here I have it on the right side. I'm going to swing that rope so that it goes around the other rope, comes back up, and I grab it and pull it through. Okay? Swing the smaller rope up, throw it up, catch it, pull it through, give it a little whip, and you got yourself a figure 8 knot. The idea behind this, it swings around once and then comes back up to your hand. When you pull that through, that is your figure 8 knot. You swing that rope around, throw it up to your hand, pull it through, and you got yourself your figure 8. Some problems that happen in figure 8 knots is people don't go around enough times, or they go around too many times. So if you go around too many times, then your figure 8 knot is going to have a little extra rope in it. It's obviously not a figure 8 knot. And if you go around too few times or too little times, so if I was just to go over, and instead of coming around and dropping through the top, if I just pull it under, then I have more of a pretzel type. So again, no matter what system you are using, we're over, under, and through the top so that you have a figure 8 knot. Now the figure 8 isn't going to do any good unless you trace it. So to trace it, I'm going to go into my harness in that first loop and into my second loop. So now I am 2 points right there. That way if one fails, I do have a backup. There's redundancy in climbing. It is very important. And I'm going to trace where this rope goes. So from this point, I'm going to place that rope right next to each other. Those ropes are best friends. They're inseparable. They hate to be apart. Keep them together. After I point that piece of rope through, I'm gonna pull the knot so it's about a fist away from my harness. That's gonna be safer the closer it is to me. Then I'm just going to trace that 8 that I made. So I'm just gonna make sure these pair up next to each other. Rolling along, my best friends go around that rope, and then they go underneath that rope together. Best friend stays together with best friend, and they all come out together on top. Now, if you look at the rope right here, it looks pretty loose. If you just pull the rope strands individually, then it is going to tighten up. The figure 8 knot is one that the more pressure gets put on it, the tighter and tighter it gets. So don't pull it too tight unless you want to deal with taking it apart. That is the figure 8 knot. How I check for figure 8 knot to make sure it is correct is I'm going to look for 5 parallel lines. Starting from my harness, I have 1 set, 2 sets, 3 sets, 4 sets, and 5 sets of parallel lines. So I know this is a safe knot. You always double check your gear before you go. Now I'm going to tie a backup knot. To tie a backup knot, I have this extra piece of rope, and the reason I'm tying it is so that when I'm climbing, this doesn't smack me in the face. It is not a safety issue. There's a lot of debate on this, that if you have at least a 6-inch strand of extra rope there, it's actually safer to not tie the knots, to not tie the backup knot. However, I tie it so it doesn't smack me in the face. I'm going to place my thumb on the piece of rope that is not the extra tail. I then wrap my thumb with the rope. So I've trapped my rope and the thumb. The second time I'm going to create an X. And I'm going to come around one more time. I'm going to replace my thumb with that rope. Pull it taut. How I know it is good, it looks like an X on one side, equals on the other side. So before I climb, I always double check my gear. I make sure that I am in 2 points with my rope. I make sure I have 5 parallel lines, my backup knot is there, and I make sure I'm double backed. I would also make sure I'm wearing a helmet, especially if we're outdoors and you're the belayer. Rocks are gonna come down. Okay, so be careful of that. That is my setup on my figure 8 knot.